Hi, Ignatius here from Open Circuit Electrical and Solar. I wanted to do a quick video for anybody that is in the market for solar. We get a lot of requests from people that just send a quick breakdown of what they're looking for, which immediately tells me that the client is in the market and he's basically quote hunting. So he's got some information from someone, perhaps a friend who's got a similar system, or just from doing some little bit of research online and what some installer may have provided information to them. And what I've noticed is that oftentimes it's just completely wrong in terms of how the system has been designed already. So the client will say, I'm looking for a quote for a 16 kilowatt inverter with a 10 kilowatt battery, or 8 panels, or a 15 kilowatt battery with 8 panels. And what that tells me, like right off the bat, is that that system, if it were to be installed like that, is never going to do what the client wants it to do, and it's going to be a disappointment from the start. And the reason that I say that is that from an installer's perspective, you can just see that putting a 16 kilowatt battery with 8 panels, let us say that you go with the biggest size panels that we work with now is 650 watt. You're looking at 5 kilowatts roughly of solar, which you'll never get, by the way. And if you look at the weather today in Durban, you'd probably get 2-3 kilowatts, if that, out of those 8 panels. And so that won't be anywhere near being able to power 16 kilowatt or close to it on that inverter size. So that inverter size, I'm assuming, would be for a large home. If they need 16 kilowatts of inverter, they want to run air cons, they want to run maybe the whole house through it. That's a big inverter for a residential install. And then if you're going to pair that with a 10 kilowatt battery, you're already undersized. So you've got a 16 kilowatt of inverter with a 10 kilowatt battery. If you have a power outage at night and you're running on battery only, the maximum you'd be able to discharge is the 10 kilowatt of that battery. You'd never be able to discharge anywhere near what that inverter can do. So you're undersized. And even if you were to do that, it would be a big mistake to think that you can run a 10 kilowatt battery at full capacity. Would be 1C. Let us say that the battery is rated at 1C. That means that 1C effectively means, let's say, that you can run it 100% at 10 kilowatts, for example. And you can discharge it down to typically 80%, depending on the brand, but the average is 80% or 90% you can run it down to. But if you look at the terms and conditions of the manufacturer document, it would often tell you there in terms of how you can run that battery at 25 degrees Celsius with, let's say, 80% depth of discharge, and they want you to run it at 0.5 C. So what that means in layman's terms is if you've got a 10 kilowatt battery, you can run it at 5 kilowatts. So it's half, basically. So if you've got a 16 kilowatt battery, you should run it at 8 kilowatts. And that's all good lithium batteries, whether they're good, reputable brands. That is the fact. If you're running it at 1C, you can forget about thinking you're going to have a battery that's going to last you 15, 20 years. And a lot of the installers are not having these conversations with clients. So you put in a system like that, from the get-go, it's designed wrong. The client is sitting with 10 quotes in front of him, and this is technical equipment. So no one's having this discussion, and the client is left completely overwhelmed with all this information and 10 quotes. And then, I don't know, invariably whether he's just going to pick the cheapest one, hoping maybe that it's going to be the right fit. So this is a lot of money either way you look at it. It's an investment. So the way I see it is that the conversation should start with the client doing due diligence on a list of installers that maybe you found on Google, good recommendations, make sure that the company has got solid installations under their belt, good reviews, perhaps even speak to some clients that they've installed at a year ago or 2 years ago and get some real life feedback in terms of how that system has been performing. And make sure that they are licensed, that they have registered as an electrical contractor with the Department of Labor, that they've got public liability insurance. So if something were to go wrong on site, there's some damage to your property or something like that, that you're covered. So these are all just basics, like to do the work legally in a compliant manner, have a licensed electrician in-house that signs it off, not somebody else from somewhere else coming to sign off for 500 or 800 rand. You're never going to have the right kind of installer if you're dealing with somebody like that. The after-sales support is critical for something like this. You want to know 2 years, 5 years down the line that you can pick up the phone and that company, that person, the people are going to be there for you, are going to be able to provide you with the support that you need. You're dealing with technical equipment, electronics, and things can go wrong. I don't care what brand it is, the best brand out there on the market. You find that what's happening at the moment, you cannot swing a cat online without finding some cheap special that you can't believe that people can work for that price with the COC, and the client thinks, oh well, it comes with the COC, so that means that it must be fine then, and it couldn't be further from the truth. That's the reality of what you're finding out there, and the client is bamboozled by a price, and he thinks that price is so attractive, he ends up installing it, and yes, it will work, it may even work, and maybe it might even look neat on the surface. To a layman's eye, it might seem fine, but when we find that when we start opening up that inverter, opening up that trunking, having a look, we find that they don't have the correct kind of protection that's needed, surge protection, switch gear, fuses, whatever it might be, it hasn't been installed in a compliant manner, and that system is just a matter of time before it starts giving problems. And we fixed a lot of them. So I'm saying that not out of some level of arrogance, thinking that we're better than other people. I'm speaking from experience, having been doing this for years. Specifically regarding solar installations, we have fixed many installations. Somebody that's come in at a much better price point, that's undercut us, and simply taken the work, and as you can imagine, they have to save that money somewhere, so they cut corners. They take shortcuts, they use cheap, inferior equipment, materials, and they install often in a dangerous, non-compliant, unsafe manner, and the client is unaware. So these are the kind of things that anybody that's in the market for solar needs to be taking into consideration. First thing I say to people when they contact me saying, please can I get a quote for a 16 kilowatt inverter with a 10 kilowatt battery and 8 panels, is sorry, but that system that you've described there is designed wrong from the outset and will never run correctly. The first thing I would want to do is have a conversation with you. At no cost, I will give you a free consult and quotation. Let's do a proposal for you. Send me your last 6-month electricity bills. Let me get on a quick phone call or a WhatsApp chat with you. I'll even come and see you, not a problem. And let's have a sit and have a discussion about what is it that your needs are. Maybe you don't need a 16 kilowatt inverter. Maybe that's going to be way overkill for you. There's a lot of technicalities around this regarding essentials and non-essentials. For example, we could have your geyser on the non-essential side, and a hybrid inverter is going to supplement excess solar power to feed back to supply power to the non-essentials. You do not have to get a big inverter to put your whole house on it. You don't need that. You could even get away with putting an 8 kilowatt inverter, having your geyser, for example, on the non-essential side, so that the excess solar provides power to the geyser, saving you money, but with no risk that the geyser is going to cause your inverter to overload or to drain your batteries. So it is critical to have the right installer, but to have the conversation around the system is designed according to your needs with the ability to expand. You could possibly start with a smaller system and see how you go and find that you might need to add another battery. But to start with a system that is completely lopsided, where the ratio between the inverter and the battery is already 1:1/2, where you can never use that system the way that you need it to, and you've got such a small amount of solar where really that's where you're going to save money. You should rather maximize on the solar, especially now with electricity prices the way that they are. Get as much solar on your roof as you can. And with some of the inverters that we work with, you can go up to a 200% over paneling PV capacity. What do I mean by that? So you've got an 8 kilowatt inverter, but you can add 16 kilowatts of solar onto that inverter, and the inverter can actually use all of that 16 kilowatts to charge the batteries and power your home at full load at the same time. Also, we work with equipment such as Sig Energy and SunGrow that comes with a 10-year replace not repair warranty. What does that mean? Well, with any of these other brands that you hear about, the popular ones out in the field today, even the good reputable ones, if there's an issue at 2 years or 5 years in, that machine is going to have to go in for an assessment to a repair center. Some of the repair centers are so choked, it'll take weeks to months before they can even get that unit on the bench. And people don't have this conversation with their clients. They just want to get in, get their money, and get out, and that's it, and move on to the next one. They're just hitting volume. For me personally, how I run my business, my clients will attest to this, we take our time. We don't rush. We want to do it right, and we want to have a long-term relationship with our clients for the next 10, 20 years, safeguarding their investment, making sure we keep their system running optimally. We design and install with that purpose and intent in mind. It's to make sure that the client gets exactly what they paid for. We set the expectations realistically, and we make sure that they know and understand exactly what the system will and won't do, and the fact that they can add on later and expand on the system should they need to. So if you want a free consultant quote with me, we can jump on the phone, you can send me a WhatsApp, you can get in touch with me. I'm happy to help you. Even if it doesn't end up that we do business together, that's fine with me as well. I'm passionate about electrical, I'm passionate about solar, I'm passionate about helping people with the right electrical and solar advice in South Africa. So if you're keen, you want to get in touch, you're looking for a proposal, you want to possibly have some electrical work done, or you're looking at some solar quotes and you're really in this position where you're so overwhelmed, you don't know what to make of it all, get in touch with me, no obligation. If I can help you, that's great. If not, we can shake hands and move on from there. But I felt that it was really important to maybe help some people that are in this position where they're sitting with so many quotes in front of them, they've got no idea what to make of it. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is now installing solar, and half of them are not licensed or registered. They are selling the client a fake bill of goods, and the poor clients are sitting with it. And at a year in or 2 years in, when there's problems, that company or person is long gone, and unfortunately they're sitting with the bag, and they feel like they've got no recourse. So if you're looking for a decent electrician, registered electrical contractor, licensed electrician that will take you through this process from start to finish and long after, please get in touch. 0677 035 138. We work all over Durban. Thank you.